Welcome to the Taiwan language episode, a podcast for learning and insights in Mandarin and Taiwanese. I am your host, Yasmin. Welcome to today's episode. Today I want to share the reflections on the last night of Jin Da Ban, specifically from the perspective of marriage and choices. First, let me outline this story. The story revolved around the female protagonist Jin Da Ban, who was a taxi dancer from Shanghai, who later moved to Taipei. She was once a dancer at the Pai Hsien-yung Paramount. She was once a dancer at the Paramount in Shanghai, and then settled in a ballroom in Taipei, where she spent over 20 years amid the glamour, witnessing the passage of time and fading youth. Not only did she witness various aspects of life, but she also experiences the loss of true love. She once encountered someone she wanted to spend her life with, but because he was from a wealthy family, so she had to end the love affair and was even forced to abort the child. Later, when she was in her 40s, facing a simple-hearted sailor lover and the pursuit of an elderly wealthy merchant, Chen, she decided to choose the wealthy merchant who could provide for her for a lifetime. The last night of Jin Da Ban depicts her final day in the ballroom. The next day, she would marry the wealthy merchant Chen and become a Mrs. Bishop, returning to an ordinary life. So here's my sharing. Jin Da Ban was a taxi dancer who, despite often being taken advantage of in her youth, maintained her kindness. Through accidents, she also came to understand human nature, knowing what it meant to put on a show and discerning the authenticity of people's hearts. These were all experiences accumulated over the past 20 years. Youth could not be relived, and by then she knew how to survive in reality. After reading this novel, today I want to share with you about marriage and choices. In the end, she married the wealthy merchant, exchanging her last youth for the mansion and business the wealthy merchant gave her. Because she saw the true face of the world, marriage here is a transaction between two people. Let's assume that if Jin Da Ban really married her first love, Yue Ru, when she was young, her fate would have been different. I think there might be a few outcomes. First, Yue Ru's family, considering Jin Da Ban's taxi dancer status, would strongly oppose the marriage, especially since Yue Ru was also an only child, and his family was prominent. Therefore, they might insist on marriage, but this might take Yue Ru's family consider cutting off financial support and make him understand the consequences of marrying this woman. Due to the lack of living expenses, this young couple, along with Jin Da Ban's pregnancy, will also face financial difficulties and eventually be forced to separate. Another possible outcome could be that Yue Ru's family would be unable to resist the child's demands. Although they could accept Jin Da Ban, They will also require her to take a step back, asking her to become a concubine, and Yue Ru will have to remarry. When a legitimate wife entered the wealthy family, she might have also made things difficult for Jin Daban in various ways. In either case, lacking life experience at that time, she, Jin Daban, at a young age, will inevitably live a humble life for her lover and her child, and even lead herself to a tragic end. Often we find ourselves unable to make choices. Jin Daban faces numerous decisions throughout her life, yet frequently struggled to decide. In her youth, a wealthy merchant proposed to her, but she believed she could sustain herself in the ballroom without depending on a man. Despite her current regret over declining his proposal, and the realization that it might have spared her from prolonged time on the ballroom, I believe she lacked the necessary life experience at the moment to make such decisions with certainty. Similar circumstances arose in her romance with her first love, Yue Ru. Despite their deep affection for each other, Yue Ru's family disapproved of their relationship. Jin Daban found herself unable to alter the situation and could only let go. Likewise, when other affluent suitors expressed their interest in her, she declined their advances. However, this doesn't necessarily imply that it was her genuine preference. Rather, the timing wasn't opportune. Finally, when Jin Daban reached her 40s, she crossed paths with another affluent merchant, willing to wed her. The union wasn't founded on love or the suitor's exceptional charm or wealth, but rather on circumstances and practicality. Confronted with reality, Jin Daban, at her age, should prioritize security over romance. Having read Jin Daban's story, I must say it is the happiest I've felt so far in Pai Hsien-yung's Taipei People series. I genuinely feel happy for her, despite the bitterness of her early life. She didn't dwell on the past, waiting for a marriage that wasn't made for her. Who would not desire a happy ever after with their beloved? Who would not wish for a life of abundance, free from worries about food and clothing? Yet, regardless of whether you are content with your current circumstances, what truly matters is whether you can approach everything with joy. As I observed Jin Daban's journey through life and noticed the changes in her values, it became clear to me that she eventually gained a clear understanding of her desires. I found myself feeling envious of her. In our world, there are those who experience wealth for only a few generations, while others, born into poverty and never having a moment of enlightenment during their upbringing, endure even greater hardships as adults. Many individuals spend the majority of their lives stumbling along, and even by the age of 40, they are uncertain about what kind of life would suit them best. Even more, countless people still haven't grasped what they truly desire or what they wish to avoid. We can't select the circumstances of our past. But I firmly believe that having the ability to discern one's own path in life as they journey forward is truly admirable. What are your thoughts on Jin Daban's story? How do you interpret the decisions she made and the challenges she encountered. Feel free to share your reflections with me. Alright, here comes our Taiwanese time. I've prepared 4 sentences for you. The first one, 你来這有啥物目的? 你來這有啥物目的? What is the purpose of our coming here? This asks about the reason or intention behind someone's arrival. So, what is your purpose for coming here? 你來這有啥物目的? 你來這有啥物目的? The second one, 我相信你嘛有同感. I believe you also feel the same. This expresses the belief that the listener shares a similar sentiment or feeling. So if you want to say, I believe you also feel the same, you can say, 我相信你嘛有同感. 我相信你嘛有同感. And the third one, 希望你會使成全我. 希望你會使成全我. I hope you can fulfill my request. This expresses a desire for the listener to assist the speaker in achieving something. I hope you can fulfill my request. 希望你會使成全我. 希望你會使成全我. The last one, 請大家點點聽我講. 請大家點點聽我講. Please listen quietly to what I have to say. This is a request for the listener to remain silent and pay attention to the speaker's words. So, please listen quietly to what I have to say. In Taiwanese, that is, 請大家點點聽我講. 請大家點點聽我講. So that wraps up what I had to share today. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a 5-star review on your listening platform. Feel free to share this podcast with your friends to help more people discover this podcast. You can also support my work by buying me a cup of coffee, which helps this podcast to continue providing learning resources. To enrich your learning experience, I create a study guide in Chinese with pinyin versions. Make sure to check our show notes for more information. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you join us again on Taiwan language episode. Until next time, bye bye.